for the love of God, can this please open up? I want to tell you guys some cool facts, but this is simply not letting me. Alright people, listen up. I know that I have been on YouTube for quite some time, and I know that most of you have been watching me on here for quite some time too, and you probably think that you might have gotten to know me during this time. But I can tell you one thing, you know nothing, Jon Snow. I am kidding. What is up you guys? You know me, I am Sub-Zero. And I hope that by now you have figured out what the theme of this video is going to be. A lot of people think that they know me, but they actually do not know me that well at all. So now I am here to inform all of you on some little known facts about me that I think might be really beneficial if you knew them. I am kidding, you probably have no benefits in life if you know these things about me. So let's start out with fact 1. And that is about murder mystery. Some people might think that I hate the murder mystery game mode. Well, I actually do not. I love it. I love when I am able to stab some people when I am stressed out, or when I am not stressed out. Now you probably know that this one was a bit of a fluff answer, but let's just move on to the next one, which is also going to be about the murder mystery game mode. I actually used to be really bad at the murder mystery game mode, and I actually hated it. So the last fact was not that much of a fluff answer at all. So when I was just starting out with Roblox, I was just roaming around the game modes and I was checking out whatever the game modes were. I bet that most of you can still remember the time when you were a noob in Roblox yourself. So whenever I joined a game of murder mystery, I had no idea what was going on. I did not pay enough attention to the menu and all of that stuff, so I always missed it when it said if I was the murderer or if I was an innocent. So yeah, but come on, I think that most of you have had similar experiences, maybe not with murder mystery, but I bet that you have had some troubles with some other game modes. Maybe if it was a parkour where you had no idea where to go, and you might still not like that. So yeah, leave a comment down below if you have a game mode that you used to hate for whatever reason and you know love. And tell me which game mode it is as well. But moving on right to the third one, which to make it all a bit of a cohesive effort, is also going to be about murder mystery. I promise that after this one I will switch to a different topic or subject or whatever floats your boat. But the third fact about murder mystery is that I had quite the accident in this game mode once. Let me just put it out there real quick. I used to play around in murder mystery and I was getting really hooked on the game mode, you know, and that was right after I stopped hating the game mode and I actually started to get really into it because I saw all these other people play it on YouTube and stuff, and I thought, like, you know, I also want to get really good at this. So what do you have to do to become good at something? You have to play it a lot, or you just have to do that thing a lot. And I believe that they say something like, when you have spent 10,000 hours doing something, so if you have spent 10,000 hours playing football, or playing tennis, maybe even writing a book or something, that when you reach those 10,000 hours of experience, that you are a professional. So that is what I did. I was not really aiming for those 10,000 hours, but I was trying to get really good in a short amount of time. So one day I was going really hard. I was on a big winning streak of like 16 wins as the killer in a row when I really had to pee, and I was just going hard, you know, and that was not going to stop me, no. So guess what I did? I did not go to the bathroom, and while I was winning the game, it got so intense because I almost lost that I ended up peeing myself. It was bad. I mean, who pees himself while playing a video game? That is just weird, right? But you know I am all about transparency, as you might know, so I decided to share this with you. So please do not make fun of me in the comments because it is pretty embarrassing. So now we shall move on. I bet that you have been getting pretty tired of the whole streak of murder mystery facts/confessions. So how about I refresh your thoughts a little bit with a quick fact about when I was a pizza delivery guy. So when I was a bit younger and I was looking for a way to save up some money, you know, because my parents told me to get a job and all of that stuff. So I decided that I wanted to save some money to buy my own gaming PC, and you know that those are pretty expensive. So what I had to do was deliver a ton of pizzas. I was working almost daily and I was getting really good at this, since I worked at this place where they have to deliver within 30 minutes, otherwise the pizza would be free and I would not get any money for that delivery. And of course there would be no tip. But like murder mystery, I was not very good when I started there. I was late a couple of times, and riding that scooter was not going all too well for me. But after a while I got the hang of it, I learned some pretty sneaky and quick shortcuts through the city, and I started to deliver faster and faster. And by the time that I was working there for almost 3 weeks, my average delivery time was already down to 14.5 minutes. And that was pretty good, because that includes the time that the pizza takes to come out of the oven and all of the other preparations. So after a month of working there I got promoted and I was making the big bucks. And I even got an award for the fast deliveries. It was a golden pizza, but my boss took that one. He basically fell in love with it the minute he saw it. I quit right after that though, because you know what they say, always quit on your highest peak. So I did, and my dad was pretty mad about it. But that is for another time and another place. Let's move on to fact number 5. And this one has to do with the prison game mode. I know that most of you think that I'm kind of a hero because I saved or rescued all of those prisoners when I got trapped in that prison after something with Doc Oswald went wrong. So I will tell you a little bit about that. And actually the big catch to the story is that the second time that I was in there, I actually was not held there against my will. After the first time I did not get to save any prisoners, because I was so focused on getting myself out. Well, I did not do that. I went to Dr. Oswald and I asked him if he could put me back in there. And he told me that it was a risky procedure and that I might get stuck in there forever. But I did not want to hear it. I told him to just throw me in there and make sure that he did not pull me out until I freed all of the innocent prisoners that were in there. And I bet that you have all seen the footage. It was rough. It was a long day of fighting, but it was worth it. I managed to save so many prisoners that day that it made my whole week. I am kind of over it now, but you know, the high never lasts that long. So I will now get to the next fact, which might surprise you just a little bit. You might know that I am pretty clumsy and that I'm not that well trained. I mean, you have all seen me run for like 10 minutes and I am pretty much in a dying state afterwards. So that is nothing to be really proud about. But something that I actually am pretty proud about is that I served with the Special Forces. Yes, that is not a joke of any kind. I have actually served with the Special Forces. I am not saying that I was the best out of the bunch, but I was not that bad. After all, with the Special Forces it is all about teamwork, so everyone is helping each other to make it all work out. So this one time that we got sent out, and that was in Iraq actually, and we were in this chopper, and we were flying over Erbil. And Erbil is a province in northeastern Iraq. So we were in that chopper and the whole trip was going fine. We were just getting transferred from one camp to the other. And all of a sudden the gas masks in the chopper dropped. So we all had to put on the gas masks. And we were really panicking at that point, because this meant that somehow there was some gas leak inside of the chopper, or the enemy had actually used some kind of gas bomb that we did not expect. So of course everyone was freaking out. The pilots were about ready to make an emergency landing and they were requesting backup, when all of a sudden, out of the far left corner of the chopper there was a loud crackle of laughing. I mean, that guy was literally laughing his butt off. So what happened? He just dropped the most massive fart, and it was so bad that the chopper actually automatically dropped its gas masks because it detected so much gas inside of the chopper. I mean, the commanders were pretty furious, but afterwards, man, we all laughed it off when we got to the other base safe and sound without a scratch. So yeah, that story was something else now, was it? Now let's switch back to the prison for our next fact. So we are now getting to the 7th fact about me that you probably did not know yet, and this one is about the prison. Like I said like 10 seconds ago. Come on, pay attention please. Now I am not going to bore you with a story about how life behind bars is a bummer, and that it is just not fun at all. I think that most of you will get that from the get-go. But no, I am going to tell you about the fact that I learned from a cellmate that I was addicted to Twinkies. And I have mentioned Twinkies a couple of times already. I mean, those yellow sponges filled with that amazing whipped cream are just mind-blowing. But of course we did not have those when I was in that prison. So when me and my cellmate went out to the cafeteria to get our food, I noticed that when I was done with my food that I did not feel satisfied at all. I mean, it actually felt like I was completely empty. And now I do not like to roam around with an empty stomach. So I tried to get another meal, and they let me get another one if I skipped my dinner for that day. So I was like, Alright, let's do that. I will just hit the bed earlier. So I ended up finishing the second meal and I was still starving and I had no idea what was going on. So when I went down to the cafeteria that same evening and still tried my shot to get a dinner meal, they of course denied me. So I went outside to get some fresh air, and before you knew it, I saw it. I was just walking around minding my own business, and from the highway I saw a Twinkies truck. I was baffled. The hairs in my neck started to flare up immediately, and I noticed it. My body wanted those Twinkies, so I actually ended up breaking out of prison within the minute. I basically jumped the fence, got around to the wall, climbed the ladder, and I headed into town, where the Twinkies truck had just parked. I ran towards it and I looked inside, and what was in there? Right, not one Twinkie. All that they had were boxed filled with Hostess coconut snowballs. And I mean, I do not hate coconut, I do not mind the flavor, but the texture is just too weird for me. So I was so bummed out that I immediately went back to prison. I just surrendered. So that was that. I have not eaten a Twinkie since that day because I noticed that they were controlling my life. And I am the only one who controls my life. Not a darn cream-filled yellow sponge with a funny name. So actually the next one is pretty much a follow-up on that story. I do not know if any of you have seen the movie Zombieland, but in that movie pretty much the exact same happens to the protagonist. And when I watched that movie I was sad, but then when I found myself inside of a real-life zombie apocalypse I was getting freaked out. And it was not about all of the brain-dead people that were running around. No, it was because I knew that there was a limited supply of Twinkies left on the shelves at my local mall. So I went there right away. I had to beat the mast, but they already got there. I saw all of these brainless people running around the mall, and they were walking around all of the stores. It was way too overcrowded, and they actually ended up turning all of the mall goers into brain-dead zombies. And I was bummed out by that. I mean, I saw some of my family walking through Best Buy and stuff, but I wanted those darn Twinkies, and when I got to the Walmart inside of the mall, they were all out. When I left that mall, I noticed all of the sale signs outside. There were these massive EIGTHY% of sales, and that is when I noticed that it was not the zombie apocalypse after all. It was just Black Friday, and I was pretty stoked because I saw my mom walking around on Best Buy near the TV section, so I knew I was getting a new 4K TV baby. I actually ended up getting a new CD-ROM player. I mean, come on. Do they even really sell those? No one uses that anymore, man. But that is enough about my lousy Christmas gift. We will move on to fact number 9. And this one also might come as quite the surprise since I have not talked about this ever. So I believe that I have told you once that I got some pretty bad detention when I was in high school. Well, I wanted to change that. I wanted to make sure that no one actually got that bad of a detention ever again. So I became a high school teacher, and it was pretty awesome. I had great working hours, some nice holidays. I mean, who does not want that 6-week summer holiday, right? And I was always off around Christmas, so I was really enjoying life there. But as you know, I did all of this just so I could help my students get out of detention, which is a great cause if you ask me. I mean, if you would have a teacher who simply got you out of detention, would that not just be the coolest teacher ever? I mean, everyone loved me there. I was making sure that everyone could do whatever they wanted without getting detention. And when they got detention from another teacher besides me, well, then I would make sure that they got out of that as well. I know, I am possibly the best guy on the planet, but I know that all of these stories and facts were really cool. But this actually brings us to the next and actually the last fact, which is all about the slide dab or the mid-air dab for some people. So some may know what I am talking about, and I am actually referring to the time that I became world champion mid-air dabber. Does that not just sound awesome? I know, right? So basically all that I did was do a sick mid-air dab when I was going down a slip and slide. Now that may not sound that difficult, right? But if you watch the video, and my mid-air dab is actually in the beginning of the having a daughter video from a while ago. And if you see it, you will notice that that was one of the greatest dabs that one has ever performed. And that is true. It was truly a great dab, but I became a world champion with it. Who would have thought that? I mean, I knew that I had the potential to become a world champion in something, but that I was the one to become the first world champion in doing the mid-air dab off of a slip and slide. That actually amazed me. But that actually were all of the facts that I had laid out for you guys. And even though I am sure that you still want to know a lot more about me, I will have to stop there for this video. Maybe if I am able to come up with more random facts about me and about things that I have done through the years, then I might just make another one of these. But I will leave it at that, and I will see you guys soon in the next video. Have a good one.